Hey, you know how Biden, as I've been walking through, has had a historically very impressive record when it comes to legislative successes, when it comes to his advocacy for and actions in the interest of workers' rights and unions, and his economic recovery. But it seems like we talk about that, at least as a nation, as a media apparatus, like 1% of the time, and talk about his age like 99% of the time, and talk about all these different little moments that will get focused on constantly, and that's the talking point. That's it. And then the conversation's over. So then a lot of people are left thinking, I know there are some people out there saying that Biden has an impressive record, but all I see is the examples of gaffes or something. So that must be the big issue, the big characteristic that matters about him. But then, strangely, all these moments of Trump just completely having a mental lapse, his cognition being questioned based on his actions and incapability of communicating effectively, just gets ignored. And I'm not just talking about right-wing media ignores. I'm saying across the board, the level of coverage of Biden's gaffes is just so disproportionate to that of Trump's. Well, Jessica Tarlov, one of our favorites here at the Luke Beasley Show, absolutely, beautifully and perfectly made this point during a recent edition of The Five. And Jessica Tarlov is a Fox News host, but she's the one liberal host on a panel of conservative hosts, and just lays down, if you're not familiar, facts. And often it gets, as was the case here, her co-host uncomfortable and unhappy. So take a look at this. She lists off, hey, why aren't y'all talking about, just in the last couple weeks, the list of questionable moments on the part of Trump when you can obsess about Biden and every tiny little thing he does wrong, including his footwear, as is currently being discussed.
I gotta say, so part of the core of the Axios piece was about the sneakers, that he'd switched to sneakers. And then our very own Peter Doocy is on Fox and Friends this morning wearing the same sneakers that Joe Biden wore. And he said everyone on Capitol Hill from age 36 to 80 is wearing these sneakers.
We worry about Peter Doocy falling down, too.
Well, but Peter Doocy also, when they were on their latest overseas trip, was talking about Biden's schedule. Remember when Biden said, I'm going to go take a nap or it's late? And Peter said that he was working into the wee hours of the night. He said he's held a complete schedule. And our perception around the world, by the way, is up since Biden came into the presidency.
Based on what?
Based on what other world leaders.
What a response. Based on what? Just so out of it. Based on all the available evidence and polling that we have on the issue.
Leaders and people in other countries think of America. But you said, okay, you don't need to watch him. Let's just hear what comes out of his mouth. And I put together some of Trump's latest cognitive beauties from the last 10 days. He said you need an ID to buy bread. Has anyone shown ID to get Wonder Bread lately? He said that he ran against Obama in 2016. He ran against Hillary Clinton. He warned that Biden will get us into World War II, which I'm pretty sure we already fought and won. And yesterday, he confused Jeb Bush and George W. Bush and said that Jeb got us involved in the Middle East. And then, of course, there are his authoritarian posts on Truth Social calling for the chair of the Joint Chiefs of Staff to be executed and saying that he's going to investigate media companies that he doesn't like. You know, and can you imagine if Biden said, you know what, I'm going to look into that Fox News. They don't seem to like me over there.
This may be the choice that people have. Yeah. Trump versus Biden. Laid bare here, Jesse.
At least Trump can say LL Cool J, Jessica.
Are you
in a prompter?
ID to buy bread.
So does it really matter? Should we really discuss at all Biden's latest gaffe when you have on the other side Donald Trump calling for the termination of the Constitution, alluding to Mark Milley, his former top general, being put to death, talking about investigating and then taking actions against media companies who he doesn't like, just openly broadcasting his stance against freedom of the press, or his record trying to overthrow our democratic process and keep himself the president despite losing an election. And that attempt being so bad and Trump acting so authoritarian in the eyes of his former top military leader, conservatives, hello, military guy, that Mark Milley fears Trump will start locking up his political opponents when he gets into the White House if he won in 2024. And his warning of Trump's threat to the rule of law and to our democracy. That is what the discussion needs to be. And then if you want to talk about Biden, can we start first with the things that impact people's lives? Like, I don't know, his legislative record, the fact that his National Labor Relations Board has, at least as the American Prospect put it, brought workers' rights back from the dead. Can we talk about things that actually impact people's lives and matter? And then if we have extra time, hey, look, Biden's old. But it's just the opposite way every single time. Biden's old, Biden's old, Biden's old, Biden's old. He also has a historically super impressive legislative record. Biden's old, Biden's old. And that's a disservice to the perception of this moment for so many people in America, because not at all their fault, but there are a lot of people who just don't do this for a living or aren't hardcore consumers of political media. And so they're just working, they're doing their life, taking care of their kids, and just get a little bit of the media discussion every day, just a little bit. And so when you have the entire right going, Biden's Satan, and then the left so obsessed with, look, we're going to both sides everything, and liberal media is constantly trying to prove how both sides they can be. Well, people are really concerned about Biden's age, and Fox News wants us to talk about Biden's age, so let's just at least give it a segment. Then now you're all out of whack and out of balance. And so we don't want to mirror Fox News. Absolutely not. We want to mirror the truth. We want to bring forward in the facts we present and also the magnitude of discussion when it comes to the time on different subjects, the truth. Because just how much you focus on things can be a tool of dishonesty. And I don't think there are all these bad faith actors in liberal media trying to hurt Biden. I just think that it ends up happening because of, like I said, trying to bend over backwards, which I get, it comes from a good place to prove that you're not biased, but then you end up being biased in doing so by both siding things that aren't both sides issues. Biden sneakers, that is, we can talk about that 100 years when we're reviewing his presidency. But right now, we're talking about a basic battle for, politically, the health and stability of our democracy. And even me saying that, by the way, and this bolsters my point, a lot of people who aren't avid political viewers of political content think that sounds hyperbolic, because I've asked a bunch of people in my personal life who are kind of moderate or center right or even some center left, but not super tuned in to the daily goings on of politics. Do you know what the fake elector scheme was? Even just in a vague sense? No, lots of people don't. Tons. Do you know what Trump was trying to do with Mike Pence? No, I know they had something. I don't know. Most people know about the attack on the Capitol. I've talked to some people my age who didn't even know what that meant. That was unfortunate. And so if you're not aware of the specifics of this now allegedly unlawful attempt to overthrow a lawful process to keep Trump the president, then of course it might sound hyperbolic. Oh my gosh, threat to democracy, threat to democracy. But once you're aware of that, which is what the media needs to assist in doing for people, then, oh my gosh, now I get it. Now I get why it's completely ridiculous to be focusing on what is wrapped around the foot of Joe Biden. And a message to Joe Biden: you can stumble as much as you like. You can gaffe your way through every single speech, as long as you stand for, in a basic sense, a democracy, and keep getting these wins for workers and for America. I'm all good. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to be a part of what makes this show possible, plus get access to the full video version of the show and get a bonus show on the weekends, you can do so by going to lukebeasleyshow.com/membership. That's lukebeasleyshow.com/membership, and there's a link in the description.